the association. It's such a dynamic force in our industry. It gave us unification 125 years ago. The whole thing was set up because you had people that were in the Northeast, they were grading their lumber this way. The people over in the Appalachian region were grading their lumber this way. Down south, we graded lumber this way. Midwest, Northern, the whole deal. Everybody had their own identities as shipping lumber. And thankfully, we had leadership in the association decided we're going to get this together. And that's when they called it together in St. Louis, I think is where they met. And they got together and they decided to come up with a standardized grading rule for our industry. The school means a great deal to us, and it means a great deal to our industry. And you know, the reason the school was really established is they were having a problem. You had the old guard that was grading lumber, but they weren't teaching the new guard how to grade lumber. Job security, I guess, is the way they looked at it. And so the leaders of the association realized what a need there would be for that, and that's when they created the school. The school was always located here in Memphis, and I think it was here in Memphis because of the hub of the nature of the hardwood industry here was so big, and not only just Memphis, but in the area. The hardwood forests were abundant down here. The school was located on Tutwiler. It was our piece of ground that had been given to the association from the Nickey family. The board decided to move to Memphis. The school that existed down here with the Lumbermen's Club and the Lumbermen of Memphis and the Memphis area being very close to it, and then pretty much in an advisory run type position. They had the school advisory board, and men like Harry Gaines and Emmett Vaughn and Jack Jurgensen. They were all chairman of the school advisory board, and then my dad came in as chairman of the school advisory board. Yeah, I went actually after I graduated from college. I came to work in January, and in February I went to the lumber inspection school, the 47th class. And back when I went to the school, this was all we had. This was our textbook and a chalkboard, and that's the rules, and we memorized it. And if you took a written test, you better not leave a T uncrossed or a comma left out or whatever. I mean, it had to be written verbatim as it was in that book. This was back in the 70s, and Ralph Bolton was the instructor. He followed Otis Goolsby, who was my director and instructor to school, which was a great man, solid lumberman. He was a twin. His brother was a lumber inspector as well. And so we were out there on Tutwiler, and you had the grading building was back behind the regular classroom. So Mr. Goolsby smoked a pipe, and was just old-time lumber inspector type guy, wonderful man. He would go out to check the guys that were grading the boards to make sure they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. And of course, then the guys in the classroom would start cutting up because they quit doing what they were supposed to be doing. But then his brother Ernest would walk right in. He'd go out that way, and then Ernest would walk right in the front door, and everybody would lock up. When that first happened, we didn't understand what was going on. Then we found out later that were twins. And it's been such a stabilizing factor for our industry to produce a quality of people that can enforce our grading rules. And it's kind of a subtle type deal. You may not see it every day. You know, may not be a big banner up about the accolades of the inspection school, but when you look at underneath it, what it's enabled our industry to do and our association to do is to sell our product base around the world with the stability of knowing that the foundation is going to be shipped according to them. And they voted to make the presentation to the board about building a new school. At that time, we had a real pent-up demand because lumber business was blowing and going pretty good, and we couldn't. I think the maximum capacity was like 50 students at the school. What we've had to do is open 2 schools at the same time, and we went to the used to call it the Big Palace Museum. I don't know what they call it now, but anyway, museum had an area in it where the little theater, the Memphis Little Theater that's over on Perkins, it used to be in the basement of the museum, and so that was gone. It was vacated, but the lumber people had some contact there because we had given them the oak paneling, the white oak paneling that goes in that theater. Okay, and so we went and they gave us the auditorium where they used to have the plays, and we set that up as a classroom facility. And they would do in-house classroom there, and then when they did board runs, they would go back over to the school and dugout. There was a lot of pressure coming from other areas of the hardwood producing region. They needed more lumber inspectors, and there was a lot of various associations in other areas that said they were going to put their own school in if NHLA didn't do something about it. And that's when we stepped it up to do that. So Dad hired a realtor here, and Bob Snowden was his name, and they started looking for property. And they looked everywhere. That was where the office and the school sit today was out in the country back then. And they felt like they wanted to be close, and if they could get it, close to the I-40 corridor, because transportation modes and different things like that. The board approved the purchase of the property. And at the same time, I think they got to talking about, well, if we're going to build a new school down here, why don't we just move the office complex from Chicago to Memphis as well? And we'll build them right next to each other, side by side, and which would be great, because then the association headquarters would have more influence over the school and not as dependent upon the lumber industry around it. But they wanted to build a showplace for hardwoods, and that's what they did. And they took, I think it's about every species of hardwood in North America is in that building out there, and it's impressive. I think it is. It's beautiful to go in there, and the sense of pride that the community here had, the lumber community, was something. I mean, it not only was the building committee's baby, but the lumbermen in this area took a great deal of pride of having the National Hardwood Lumber Association come here and build their headquarters here, and all of that, and still do have that.